evidence that there is major voice actors within the English dubbing community that are threatening fellow voice actors from even being shown or communicating with Vic, the voice actor of Edward Elric of Full Metal Alchemist. Now, for those that have no idea who Vic is and his past controversies, I want to do a very, very brief rundown because I want to talk about the stuff that literally just happened less than a week ago. So basically, Vic is someone that came under fire with a lot of controversy many, many years ago, almost a decade at this point, and there was a lot of people that were doing the hashtag #KickVic. And then you had the hashtag #IStandWithVic. And more or less, there was a lot of people that were accusing him of false allegations and stuff, that he is a horrendous person, that he sexually harasses people, all sorts of stuff. And basically, there was a lot of false allegations that were never proven true, and more or less, it ruined his life. It ruined his career, and there's been a lot of damage that he's still facing to this very day, which is why I'm even making this video, because new stuff has happened now, literally in the last week. But the point here is that Vic has been under fire for a very long time with people within the anime industry, the English voice acting community, for clarification, from Funimation's group, and then now technically Crunchyroll. They are trying their hardest for over a decade to basically get this man to kill himself, or to just completely run away and give up voice acting.
To kill himself? I know that the allegations have been really weighing on trying to, like, get him to lose opportunities, but is Chibi being hyperbolic here, or is this actually, like, real? I guess we're gonna find out.
Altogether. That is what they have been trying to do to this man for basically over a decade. And now we have evidence that the same voice actors that have spread these false allegations, have spread rumors, gotten their fans and groupies to basically pile on top of Vic to ruin his life, they now are threatening fellow voice actors, potentially with career-ending threats, if they don't fall in line and distance themselves away from this man. You don't believe me? Let's get into this. Let's just let Vic explain himself, because he opened up in a very personal way at Anime Matsuri, an anime convention that a lot of people going to the convention were really excited to be able to see not just Vic there that voices Edward Elric, but also Maxie, which is this woman down here that voices Alphonse Elric. You know, the two Fullmetal Alchemist brothers, the Elric brothers. We were going to see the two voice actors from the English dub being able to be in the same room, which has been like a decade plus at this point, being able to be in the same room with each other.
Do you realize how much people want this? People love when they go to conventions to have the ability, when there's like characters that act as a duo, Ed and Alphonse, that they love the ability when both actors can show up and be able to do stuff. This would have been huge for fans. You've got to be fucking kidding me. What the hell?
Each other, for the fans, for Fullmetal Alchemist fans, to be able to ask them questions and just, you know, feel like they're back in the early and late 2000s. And that obviously did not happen because Maxie canceled her appearance, and basically what Vic even elaborates, which I will show the clip and everything, he explains that she canceled because apparently within her contract she signed for Anime Matsuri that she was not supposed to be in attendance with Vic whatsoever. However, I have gotten a hold of the contract, by the way, and it is this. This is her contract that she signed with her agent that Vic even...
Okay, so we actually have the contract in hand to be able to read. Who wants to place bets that there's going to be nothing in the contract that's going to actually be a valid reason for what happened here? The real reason they target Vic, he was getting a promotion instead of their diversity quota buddies. Yeah, I mean, from what I remember as well, right around the time that the original cancellation stuff was going on, it was right at the same time he was due to get a promotion and a big opportunity for himself. And lo and behold, what happens? A life ruination campaign. $65 that proves nothing. It's very conveniently priced at about the same rate as a new game. You looking for a particular new game there, Michael? All right, let's fucking see what this contract has to say.
Even talks about within the clip I'm going to show, but you can see that it's her name right here, Maxi, John, the promoter and all that, and you can just see everyone associated at Anime Matsuri's event, and you can see what's in the labels, the rules, everything and all that, autographs, whatever, travel standards, and you can even see the signatures as well from John and Maxi here. Basically, if you go through this contract, you can pause and look at it yourself, there is no mention at all within this contract that she is not supposed to see Vic. However, her excuse for the reason why that she didn't appear in Anime Matsuri was because they broke the contract. That, you know, basically they allowed Vic to be at Anime Matsuri when her contract said that he shouldn't be there. But this is full-blown.
So yeah, looky, try to get him on breaching contract, and lo and behold, there's nothing in the contract. I fucking can't with these people. Just say the real reason. Say the real reason why you canceled, which is that you were pressured by other people that you don't want to name and that you don't feel comfortable with being associated with Vic, because people are going to blacklist you and people are going to come after you. And you don't have the ability to take the heat from being around him. Yeah, I guess they do owe you a new game. I better get on that shit.
Lies, obviously, not just from the official paperwork, but also because following up to months before the event even happened, you had Maxi and Vic actually in communication with the promoter, John, and everyone, the agent, to basically make a promotion for Fullmetal Alchemist, for the two voice actors to be side-by-side at a panel, and people were excited. So there was a lot of great communication between everybody. Everybody was happy. Everybody was excited. And from the way Vic describes it himself within the clip, I will show it, don't worry, he describes that everything was great. Everything was fine. There was nothing wrong whatsoever. But then literally a week and a few days leading up to the event, everything went to shit, and basically the boss calls came in from English voice actors in the industry that have a problem with Vic, higher up people within the industry that basically did the boss call and probably threatened Maxi that if she appears there, it will probably be career ending. Because there's no other reason why that she would do something like this after being in such friendly terms with him for months leading up to it, and then just completely sabotage the relationship and basically go on record with a straight up provable lie that apparently.
So something that I want to add on to this is that this was a similar type of deal with Monica Rial, who was the big accuser of Vic. Leading up to it, there's countless video footage and proof that Monica and Vic appeared to be on good terms with one another. And then it was convenient that right around that time, he was due for that promotion and to get a very big opportunity. Now all of a sudden, she's going to throw him under the bus and try to stab him in the back in order to let her and her other friends pick up and get those opportunities. It really feels like that's about the only true justification for things, because, like, what else can you say? If she was acting friendly with him all the way up to the point not long before he got that opportunity, that's when everything went down. It's like, you were fine with palling and hanging around with him right up until that happened, and he got an opportunity that you and your friends didn't, and you got jealous, and you felt the need to try to seize that opportunity from him through any means necessary that you could. A lot of these voice actors, they're snakes. And to be frank, it's actually a very big reason for why I stopped pursuing and trying to go for any sort of a career in voice acting. Because when I said earlier that voice acting is something that I've spent a fair bit of time into. It's not just something that I've researched. I've actually put in time into attending lessons. I've taken several lessons with actors who have actually played characters in games, working voice actors. So I put a lot of time investment into trying to reach a point where I was a hopeful that wanted to break in and try to voice act for anime, video games, and other stuff. And it was right at that time that all this stuff with Vic happened, that I was putting a lot of time into trying to really hit that point and applying for indie projects and all of this other stuff. And sadly, when I saw that happen, it just really killed whatever motivation that I had to try to pursue it, because I knew that if they're going to do this to Vic, I'm a nobody. They would certainly do the same thing to me because I'm fresh meat. They'll throw me under the bus, and I may not have all of the same opinions and beliefs that Vic does, but I can certainly say that I don't share quite a lot of the beliefs that many of the people over there in California, where all of these voice actors are located, tend to share. So I know for a fact that I would not be very welcomed and received, and they would likely stab me in the back as well. So it really just kind of killed my drive and my passion to want to pursue that as a career opportunity. It's something that I think about every so often now, and I'm thinking about maybe doing voiceover stuff again for fun and largely kind of focusing on it within a community aspect of wanting to do stuff, like I mentioned, of little fun projects with people in Discord for community nights and everything. But I think beyond that, I'm not really going to try to pursue anything with actually trying to get voice roles for stuff, because let's be real, it's hard as a chud. Life is hard as a chud to get opportunities working with companies.
In her contract that she wasn't supposed to be seen with him, when it's clear that that was not in her contract at all. So there is a lot of excuses, there's a lot of deceit, there's a lot of lies, and it shows just the outright snake-like behavior going on behind the scenes that many people, the fans of anime itself, are completely unaware of. So let's actually get into the clip. So this is the Vic panel at Anime Matsuri 2026. This literally came out 7 days ago. This video only has 700 views, which is just insane, by the way. I will link this full video in the description, but I want to show like the first 10 or so minutes of this because I think it's very important to kind of get the point across of what Vic is saying and what actually happened, the timeline of events, and then we're going to discuss it as it goes on. So let's play the clip.
So I want to share something with you guys right out of the gate. It's kind of serious.
Right at the start of the panel.
And then we'll spend the rest of the time talking fun stuff, all right? Rather than talk fun and then leave it on a serious note, which is not near as fun as leaving on a high note, right? As many of you know, we had a pretty exciting last-minute announcement for Anime Matsuri for Maxie Whitehead, who played Alphonse in Full Metal. Did you guys see that announcement?
No.
Well, I want to share with you guys what happened. It's important to us, all of us, that the truth be told. You want the truth, right? I mean, people want to be told the truth.
Yes, sir, please.
I have always, let me just preface by saying, I have always loved Maxie. When we did Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Aaron was no longer able to play the role because he had grown up, Maxie stepped in and did an amazing job, and she and I have...
For those that need clarification, basically, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is where Maxie voices Alphonse.
So something that I very quickly want to say is Notice that even though he's sharing this rough news, that he still has nothing against Maxie. He has no animosity towards her. And I think it's because Vic understands that when people associate with him, that they are going to suffer consequences from the people that have ruined his life. And that's why he doesn't fault them. Kind of like a lot of other people typically, say that they don't blame people for not wanting to associate them because it comes with a lot of hatred. It's got to be hard for him to try to maintain having a goodwill towards people that cave, because I can only imagine what it feels like to have people that you thought were in your corner to cave to social pressure, and now all of a sudden you're getting thrown under the bus by people that you didn't expect. This reminds me of the whole Genshin Impact drama with the VAs. Yeah, that was another thing that really irritated me, was the whole drama that came out of that, where the voice actors were dogging on this one guy for taking an opportunity while voice actors were striking. And it's like, bro, this guy took the opportunity because you guys weren't doing your jobs. He needed the money and was more than willing to fill and take the role. You are not going to be able to sit around and not do your job for months on end and hope that you're going to be able to keep your contract and keep working as the voice for that role. Now, I think part of the issue with people's expectation on that is that a lot of these people that strike are involved in unions, and that's a whole other kind of topic that I don't know if I have time to go into on this particular stream. It may be something that I talk about and cover, because I have some thoughts on voice actor unions that I'd like to maybe touch on at some point. But yeah, it's like you cannot expect to just sit around and not do your job and not get replaced, especially by a company that does not work ideally with union people. Like, I do not know. Mugiro's Econ 101 stream coming soon. It's just basic fucking facts. Like, I don't know, like, maybe people need to have more economic lessons involved in their lives, but it's absolutely basic shit. You don't get a free handout for sitting around and not doing your job. A lot of these companies that hire people for doing voice work and everything, typically for something like a video game, a lot of it is non-union work. And they don't have any sort of, union contracts that allow for people who are in the unions to be able to sit around and do this stuff, which is why when people did do this, all those voices were effectively cut. And then you saw that when some of those contracts ended, they opted to no longer renew the contract and go with those people. Do you think they're going to just sit there and take it from these people sitting around with these contracts? No. They're going to let them expire. They're not going to renew. And then they're going to go grab people that can get the job done, and probably go with people who aren't union. And then, of course, the union people are going to complain and bitch because they're not getting work from it and they have to pay their union dues. But if you're not going to do your voice work and do what's asked of you, then I'm sorry, you're going to lose out on opportunities and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, and you only have yourself to blame by going with the union. Yeah, I feel like we could talk about unions quite a bit, and how while they have a nice kind of ideology behind them, and in some cases there may be some benefits to unions, there's also certain levels of drawbacks to them, especially when it comes to trying to get stuff done. But we're going to go ahead and dig into the rest of this video.
The original Full Metal Alchemist had a different Al as a VA because, as he said, they grew up. So they changed the voice actor, the English dub voice actor, with Brotherhood, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Always been dear friends. She doesn't do a lot of events, and I haven't seen her in probably 10 plus years. Her booking agent told me that she would be really interested in doing an event. So I contacted some of my favorite people, John and Denise, and I said, y'all, this could be really cool. Elric brothers together again, right? And John, being the awesome dude that he's, like, let's make this happen. So they reached out to Maxie's booking agent, who represents her, of course. And there were some challenges with whether or not she was going to be available first for a couple of months. We were talking about this. And there was no question.
So I want to make sure I clarify this. He was in contact with the booking agent for Maxie months leading up to the event, which means that she would have been well informed of it because of scheduling and all that. So this was not something that just came out of nowhere. This wasn't a last minute, like, you know, drop of, hey, you want to meet up or whatever at a convention. This was many, many months in advance. This was a long time for you to...
Yeah, that's usually how this stuff works, like, or 2 months out. But they're working behind the scenes on getting this stuff done well in advance and trying to prep and prepare for it. So it's very funny how usually everything is all nice and hunky-dory and all of the planning gets taken care of, and then all of a sudden shit just ends up going south during like the week or 2 weeks leading up to it. Especially when it comes down to people undercover night making calls and stuff in order to cancel shit. Funny how that works.
To make and decide if there was an issue with Maxie and Vic being in the same room. Basically, everything leading up to this moment, everything seemed a-okay. And obviously Vic had that impression as well. So let's continue playing.
She told us through her booking agent she had no problem doing any events with me or here or whatever. She was looking forward to it. Suddenly, about a week before the show, before Matsuri, I woke up to a text message from John, and it said, quote, Maxie is coming.
So for those that need clarification who John is, I want to re-show it. John right here is the promoter of the event. You can see it. John. And then Maxie, talent, collected by the associates for personal appearance by talent at Anime Matsuri, the event. So when he says John, he is talking about this person, which in the contract you see is signed. He signs and she signs. That is what he's talking about here for clarification.
I was pretty excited, right? Her booking agent, very excited. Her booking agent's like, she's so forward to seeing you, Vic. It's gonna be great. And
So her booking agent and her is excited to see him. So I want to also make sure you understand this. This is a week before the event. So this means that there wasn't a long gap to think about it. That means like there was months of talking, and then a week before the event, she's like, sure, let's do this. And she's excited. The announcement is made for everybody to see that she is going to be there with Vic. And this obviously became public information where people were in a realization that Vic was in contact with Maxie and she was okay with Vic. This became publicity to where obviously people became aware that there was still conversation happening between the two. So just to make sure we are on the same page or the timeline of events.
I was thinking how cool for the fans. Because if you're a fan of Full Metal Alchemist, you get virtually zero opportunities to have both the brothers at one place and one time. Might never happen.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened in a very long time. So John and Denise pulled out all the stops. And I'm just telling you guys, they went out of their way. They had things printed. They had banners made. They agreed to all of the requests in the contract. And the contract was signed. And it was a done deal.
So basically, there was promotions made that the booking agent and Maxi and Anime Matsuri, they all agreed with. Everyone agreed with the promotional material that was being made for the event, that people got to see and everything. Basically, there was approval on multiple levels where this event was happening. Just to make sure we have full clarification, everybody knew the event was happening. Everybody was excited about it. Maxi knew Vic was going to be there. Vic knew Maxi was going to be there. The world knew, technically, at that time. That's pretty much what was going on. There was complete approval of promotional material as well.
Yeah. Everyone that was involved in the actual business aspect of it was okay with everything. It's the outsiders that inserted themselves into the matter that weren't. Very funny how that works. Also, very interesting how it always seems to be the typical case when something like this goes down. Sometimes it is people involved on the inside, but there's also quite a few times where it's usually people that aren't even involved directly in the business dealings that want to self-insert and have an opinion on it. I don't see your name on the contract, so why do you have a say? Why do you get to pressure anybody to change their business dealing? It's so fake and gay.
I was excited. I was like, oh, we need to make a special print of just the brothers that doesn't exist anywhere else on Earth for the fans. And everything was great. John even made a cool promo image of the two of us. You might have seen it.
Yeah.
And it said, brothers,
He said, I'm assuming that's John saying yeah.
brothers reunion or whatever. That promo image was posted to publicly announce that Maxi was going to be here. And within about 3 hours of that post, John got a phone call from Maxi's agent.
3 hours. I want to put this in perspective. After it became official public knowledge that she was going to be there, in 3 hours, something happened behind the scenes. Think about that. You realize how insane that is.
Yeah, Michael. Half these people shouldn't even be involved, but would you look at that? As soon as it becomes public, 3 hours, that's all it takes in order to stir up trouble and cease the business dealings. All it took was those 3 hours for people to self-insert themselves and make everything go tits up.
Within 3 hours.
Maxi wants to cancel because she's getting pushback from some other voice actors who don't think she should be there with you. Can I just give you a minute to process that? Think about it. Seriously. Maxi, who doesn't do a lot of events, could come here and have had a wonderful weekend meeting hundreds of wonderful people who love her work, make some money to pay her bills, make a great weekend for everybody, right? And a handful of voice actors who we probably will never know who they are.
We know.
If you're aware of Vic's situation, you know who it is. Yeah, you know who it is. Just look it up briefly, you'll instantly discover it. There is a lot of voice actors that are from Funimation's branch, that are now with Crunchyroll technically, that outright hate this man. And they will slander him at any way they possibly can. That's basically it. And that he's pretty much implying that we don't know, but we do know who it is.
Right? Called her.
Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar, and sadly, they're going to keep doing this. It's never going to stop until they make sure that anybody who associates with Vic and Vic himself never get any more voice acting opportunities, panels, conventions, whatever it may be. It is absolutely fucking insane the lengths that these people will go to try to cancel him and to cancel and make people cave that would even dare associate with him.
And put pressure on her to cancel. I have a lot of feelings about this, and I'm holding them in because I think...
Honestly, I think Vic, right now, just looking at the way he's expressing himself here, I think he is almost at the breaking point of where he's just gonna let it all out. I think he is, even opening up an event panel like this at Anime Matsuri and talking with everyone just so openly like this takes, honestly, some balls of steel. Because you realize how this could damage, him from ever being in other events, just being, talking about this, because obviously he is using Anime Matsuri to basically talk about this situation, which obviously event panels might, see this entire clip, and then they'll be like, oh, we don't want to work with you because we don't want to cause drama or controversy or whatever, but the fact that he still did this regardless, I think showcases that he is at that point to where he is tired of being completely quiet. I mean, he's been dealing with this for literally over a decade, pretty much at this point. It's been a very long time, and these people will not leave him alone, and honestly, I don't think they will ever leave him alone. They will probably continue to stalk him.
Yeah, Chibi is right. They're not going to leave him alone, and Vic is really putting himself out there by talking about and discussing this directly at the panel in front of all these people, because it certainly could damage an opportunity for him to come back to Anime Matsuri. It could, make other people seeing this be wary to have him come to their conventions. But it needs to be said. Something needs to be said and done about it. And he has largely been trying to hold a lot of this in and hold his tongue to be able to try to play ball so that he can still have the handful of opportunities that he does get given to him. Can only imagine the amount of pressure that he has to have on him for being in this position of constantly being dogged by people, not only within the industry as a whole, but being dogged by people that he used to work with and in some cases considered friends. That's the real fucked thing about this, is that these same people, they're not just randos who didn't know him. They're people who worked with him for a long, long time and used to have no problems associating with him. And they've gone and they've stabbed him in the back to this length. Just, that would damage damn near anybody.
Him and continue to harass anyone that associates with him, people that try to defend him for the end of days, because these people obviously are just outright despicable, disgusting animals. They're creatures. They're not really even people in my eyes, and I think that he is at that point, that breaking point as well, by, if you just look at this clip, that he is pretty much done himself. I feel like he is only holding himself back here because he is in a professional environment in Anime Matsuri, and he wants to, at the very least maintain some form of professionalism, but at the same time, you can see that he wants to let it out. You can really see he wants to say it, but he's just not. But
yeah, like we just kind of touched upon there, he's struggling to walk a very fine line right now because something needs to be said, but he also doesn't want to potentially lose opportunities. So he's trying to go about this and be as professional about things as possible. And that's honestly one of the big reasons why I have a lot of respect for him, because not a lot of people would be able to do this. Not a lot of people out there would be able to contain themselves to still act in as much of a professional manner as he is conducting himself in order to make sure that they don't mess up their livelihood and mess up things in general for the conventions that they're at. Yeah, I don't think I'd blame him either if he were to crash out, but unfortunately, having a crash out isn't going to do much of anything. It's only gonna most likely cause issues that would cut into his ability to keep sustaining himself as a voice actor. So he's got to conduct himself very carefully now to make sure he doesn't lose what opportunities that he can get. And it's just something that anybody who goes through cancel culture ruination stuff has to sadly deal with.
But it makes me feel very bad for this man. I wish he would say it, but I understand why he is, especially not at this moment, because obviously the industry is against him. That's the truth. The truth in the heart of the issue here is that Vic is the punching bag of the anime industry. He is. He is someone that has barely anyone in his corner. He honestly is the dog that will continue to get hit on the ground, regardless if he is right or wrong or whatever. He is always the person that has to be hit, and the point here is that he is that target. And the industry, people at the top behind the scenes, they actively allow this to happen because they're infested with people that are pushing agenda or narratives and allowing actively this man to have his entire life ruined for basically false allegations and basically for no reason at all. It is actually insane. It is. And I can't help but just feel bad for this man because it's like this has been an ongoing thing for literally years. Like, it is so terrible what this man is continuously going through. And it's clear that there is a lot of people that are now starting to see the reality of this situation, on how unhinged these people are. And I think this situation might cause a lot of people to really see how toxic the English voice acting industry is, and how they are people that are not just actively destroying anime by changing meanings and stuff, but destroying other people's careers that do not fall in line. That is what this basically is. And it is...
I think to some degree, people are mildly waking up to it. But the problem is that typically when I see anybody that is trying to support Vic, there's still a lot of pushback. So problem is that some people are still waking up, but there's a lot of people that are too enamored with the voice actors within the current sphere of influence that they will go to bat for them and believe anything that they have to say, even though they're actually snakes in the grass trying to ruin a man behind the scenes. Yeah, I know that there's plenty of people, sadly, who have been through this at large scales and to some degree small scales. It's sadly something that's all too common. And hopefully one day there can be a change on it, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. We've got to keep fighting.
Disgusting. But let's continue. Sorry for pausing so much.
I think it's so immoral that you would stick your nose in another adult professional's business. Maxie's not a child. She's a grown-up. She's a professional in an industry. Could you imagine trying to force someone who you have nothing to do with it? You're not coming here, you're not paying her bills. You know what I mean? To stick your pressure in on her. So she said she wanted to cancel, and we were very concerned. I was looking very forward to seeing her. And then
You can tell by his face. He's mad. The pause.
Maxie sent me a message, and it said, "Will you please ask Anime Matsuri to take down the promo images with us, because my contract clearly states non-negotiably that I am not to be promoted with you."
Once again, lies. Pause the video and look at these. It's lies. Nowhere in the contract that she did with John, the promoter, going to Anime Matsuri, that it says that she cannot be with Vic at this event. And they were all obviously clear communications that she knew Vic was going to be there literally months in advance. And even communicated that she was excited to see him a week prior to the event happening. And once again, this all happened 3 hours after the event became public that they were going to be together. So it's very obvious what's going on here. She's doing anything she can to distance herself from Vic, because obviously her career is at risk. That she probably got threatened, that she will not probably get a lot of different jobs or roles or called in by anyone because of her association with a person that is the black sheep within the anime English voice acting community.
And that's because, fun fact, when the English voice acting community began, it was a very budding industry. There weren't a whole lot of people involved in it. Dubbing isn't something that's been around forever. It's a relatively kind of new concept when it comes to anime. And because of that, all of these people that used to be friends with Vic, they are now not just voice actors. A lot of these people have taken up positions where they act as directors. They act as staff directly at studios that they can have a hand in being able to decide who gets to work on stuff. That's why this whole thing is so fucked. Because these people, they have way too much power and authority and control within the current sphere, and they will not give it up. Why would they? They've pretty much taken over everything when it comes to English dubbing. It's not going to get any better until it all comes crumbling down. Which is what we're seeing, and why there's so many people who are fed up with and at a point where I constantly see all the time on Twitter people talking about that they're going to just straight up stop listening to English dubs as a whole. They would rather just, at this point, go to the original source material and forego having anything English dubbed, even if it's a loss of convenience. Because these people, in their desperate grab to hold on to the power they have gone and ruined things to such a degree.
So that is something to take note of, but let's continue.
I sent John that message, and I wrote Maxie back, and I said, I have nothing to do with your contract. I never saw the contract. I have no authority over any of that. But I'm really saddened to hear that. News to me. But I will let them know your request. A very, very short time after that, before anything else happened, Maxie posted something on the internet. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It said, and I quote, "The contract that I signed with Anime Matsuri expressly stated a clause that said I was not to be promoted alongside Vic Mignogna in any way."
I don't see it. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. I don't see this clause here. Yeah, I don't see the clause here. I don't see it. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe I can't read. Maybe I'm illiterate. I don't see the clause, guys. I don't see it.
So they breached the contract and I'm canceling. You want to know the problem? That's a lie. That clause was not in the contract. There was nothing in the contract about not appearing with me. In fact, she approved the promo image. I've been a guest here. She knew I was going to be a guest here. Obviously, if you're part of Full Metal, it kind of it doesn't take a big leap to know that it's going to be a Full Metal thing. But that post was put out. I can only assume to cover the real reason. I feel bad, most of all, for you. Some of you that were at the panel yesterday, we talked a little bit about this. There are people in this industry who somehow think it all belongs to them, and that they can do whatever they want behind everybody's backs and cause all kinds of trouble, and you...
Yeah, would you look at that? Just like I was saying, these people, they think they have the ability to dictate everything, and the only people who end up suffering out of it, which I can tell this is exactly what Vic is about to say, is that the only people who suffer at the end of the day from all of this the most are the fans. Because the fans who spent money, time, and effort to come to these conventions in hopes of the panels, to end up having this happen to them and lose out on these opportunities, a lot of these people really look forward to these moments, and they're the ones that end up suffering the most when this stuff happens.
He's basically saying there's a mafia. That's pretty much what he's saying. That there is a back room, like a behind the scenes mafia in the anime industry that actively will sabotage you and destroy your career if you don't fall in line. That is what this is. Insane. Like, it's actually insane.
People who really deserve and have made all of this possible, you'll never know. We'll make up stories.
You know, thinking about it, the mafia comparison is actually a pretty apt and good comparison for the situation with how the unions work and all of that. It really does feel like these people have crafted up a type of mafiaized structure to enable for all of this to play out the way that it does. It's complete. It feels so crafted for everything to go their way. Either fall in line or get left behind. Yeah, pretty much. You don't fall in line and do as we say, you ain't gonna get those opportunities. You got a license to be at this convention? Have you been approved? Did we say you could be here? Did we say that you have the ability to interact with this person? No? Then you're getting the 6 foot under treatment.
Yes, slippery here and change here and lie here and be dishonest here and make promises and then change them here.
You know for a fact he's talking not just about the anime, like the English voice acting community. He's probably talking about in general the industry in the West and how they do changes and stuff like that. It's very clear what he's implying here. It's very clear what he's talking about. The dishonesty, the lies, and everything. He's pretty much talking about what I have been talking about for 2 years now. So keep that in mind.
And the fans will never know. If there are no fans, there is no industry. And I told you guys this yesterday, and I believe this with my whole heart, and I know that John and Denise do as well. They work tirelessly to put on this event for you. We've talked about this at length. The fans are what make it happen. It's not the voice actors. And I'm one of them, and I'll be the first to say it. These shows are not about me. They're not about voice actors. They're not about booking agents. They're about you. And that has been largely overlooked by many people in this industry. So now you know. And that was what I felt was important to share with you. The truth.
I think more or less this wraps it up here. I think this really just shows the toxicity within the industry and the amount of lies that's thrown this man's way. That it is so outright deceitful and disgusting, and that this is actively still ongoing. Like, this is not something that happened years ago. It is still actively ongoing right now. Gross, man. Honestly, I hope that this video does well and that people see this. I would like to have a little bit more support for this man. This man needs a little bit more support. I really hope this video explodes in the algorithm. Will it? I don't know. But hopefully...
Well, we're going to do our part to try to help out with that. So, this is definitely going up on my channel in the future as a react video so that we can try to push this more because, yeah, more people need to be made aware of what's going on and that Vic is still going through these levels of cancel campaigns on a regular basis.